Good day, mate. I'm James, the relic hunter from down under, and today I'm out hunting for comics in the wild in the jungles of the United States. I got thirsty hunting out here in the jungles of the United States. Let me drink out of this pimp cup. Ah, crikey, that's good. Oh, look over there. I think I see some. Let me load the non-lethal trank gun up and see if we can get a shot at them. Remember, never look them straight in the eyes. They can smell that fear in you. Direct hit. Now let's go get them, boys. It was a successful comic hunt today. We got a Fantastic Four number 12. And we happened to bag a whammer of an Iron Man Submariner number 1. What are you doing in my yard, man? This is like the 3rd time this week that I've caught you hunting wild comics in my yard. Can't you read the sign? It's right over there. What? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Hey, hand me those comics you got. Here you go. Man, Iron Man Submariner number 1. And Fantastic Four number 12. I know what to do with these things. Now scram! Hey, welcome back, comic book community. I'm Travis Grant, your friendly neighborhood comic book nerd. Man, can you believe that? I had to get that guy out of my backyard. He was hunting for wild comics. Anyways, luckily he found this, Iron Man Submariner number 1. And stay tuned, because we're going to take a look at it. Hey, welcome back, comic book community. Here I got a special treat for you. Iron Man and Submariner number 1 shot. It's number 1, but it's like a 1 shot. Iron Man and Captain America, I believe, were in the Tales of Suspense. And Submariner and the Incredible Hulk were in Tales of Astonish. And before they got into their own comic book, they did a 1 shot. And put Iron Man and Submariner together. And I feel like they had a missed opportunity. They should have did like a Captain America and Incredible Hulk 1 shot before they kind of split off into their own comics. But this is like a in-between kind of phase right here. And I guess it was just some stories they had in the books. And that didn't quite make it into the last Tales of Astonish and Tales of Suspense, so they made this 1 shot, I guess. And we got some Gene Coleman art and Archie Goodman, stories by Stan Lee, and we have Iron Man right here. And the laser, he was going to shoot him in the last issue of Tales of Suspense, but it missed him. And you got these broken wires right here. He's on this like magnetic table. The Magna. His villain and Whiplash got him. And this is pretty interesting. On this panel right here, he pops his little thing out. He's like, he had. Even back then, Iron Man had like a charger cord for his suit. like he's like a iPhone or something. And he pulls out his cord, and the fizzle right here of the electric current, he's using it to charge his own suit back up. He's like his little charge cord is charging his suit. And he's just strong enough to raise that one arm off the magnetic table to get himself charging. And the laser hit the bottom of the ship, and so all this water's rushing in to the in this room in the ship. Meanwhile, on top of the ship, these folks are having it's a gambling ship or something. You know, international waters. They're doing some shady stuff out there, and something's crashed into the ship, and they're getting all slung around. So it's showing these guys coming out, Scuba Team 1, Scuba Team 2, and then they're saying, hey, Scuba Team 2 is like 15 minutes behind, and you see them climbing up the anchor chain, kicking in the door, and here you got an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. right here. Later on in the comic, we know this is Jasper from the S.H.I.E.L.D., and he recognized these guys as AIM agents. And later you got Whiplash, and they're like, look, the AIM's on our ship, and the mastermind from earlier is like, it doesn't matter. Whiplash, go out there and do some stuff, and he's whipping the AIM agents, and the AIM agents are like, hey, suppress the fire, and they start blasting, right? Whiplash is doing his thing, but they're not, the AIM agents aren't good at the aiming because they're just blindly firing, you know, and that gives them a chance to kind of escape, and they get in this little escape pod room right here. This agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. knows, hey, it's my chance to kind of skedaddle too. Iron Man's in this room, and he's like, hey, it's filling up with water. I got to get to this bulkhead, but the current is pulling him back because it's filling up with water. And he's like, let me. It's a funny thing right here. I think he said, if they fail, I can't complain about the manufacturer. Like, he's talking about his repulsor rays, and if I gotta shoot my repulsor rays to blast through it. If his repulsor rays fell, he can't blame the manufacturer because, you know, he's the guy who manufactured it. In this panel, you see, he said, well, if I get close enough and use both his repulsor rays, boom, and it pops the door open. So the pressure of the bulkhead, and it sends them shooting out. And there's a shaft, an elevator shaft, and he's coming up, and then he says he locks the door behind him, but it's not watertight, but it should slow the water down a little bit. And meanwhile, the AIM guys are they got into this control panel, and they can know that Iron Man's on the ship. Let me zoom out a little bit. So they're activating this control panel, and it's doing this little whooshing thing. That's part of their plan, the AIM's plan. You know, they got their money, and they're robbing the ship, and they activate that thing. Whiplash is talking to the dude, and he's like, "What? This is your plan? This is your big plan? We're gonna just hide in this safe room thing?" He's like, no, this was he's telling them this was a last ditch effort thing where I still got a surprise for him, and he messes with this doohickey panel. The agents are still robbing the place, and this is when he said, I think he says his name is Jasper Sitwell. Jasper Sitwell. He's every inch of a shield man, he says. He said, you can't sit by and let this thing happen. But the guy who was in the panel with Whiplash gets the boat rocking back and forth. That's their plan. Their boat's going to be rocking back and forth. It's the next extra trick. And now Iron Man's getting flung around. Everybody's getting flung around in the boat now. Again. At this moment, the Whiplash comes out and he sees that guy, Jasper, and he's about to get Jasper pretty good, and it's pretty funny. He's telling him like he's gonna no, Jasper, Whiplash is mine, and he said ironclad oath. Yeah, you know he's just telling him just a crap, and then Whiplash, the only thing you're providing me is an earache, because he's just talking, and it's just funny how some of the things are worded. And then Iron Man zaps him, and the floor at this moment, that beam starts pulling Iron Man down, and he's getting whooshed out from the beam that the AIM agents did. And it goes, next issue, conclusion of Iron Man's own magazine. So it kind of sets up the next issue, Iron Man #1 from 1968. Then you go to the Submariner thing. I think there was a neat ad page. It was like this: shamed by your English. Like, this is like I guess it's 1968 or before Iron Man 1 came out. But I guess people were more to proper English and proper pronunciation than they are today. Today is a lot of slang is used. And I guess if you use slang in 1968, they were like, what? You're not properly using the proper English that you should. I guess it would be taboo. Which I found that ad was kind of funny. Shamed by the usage of your English. People, if you were using slang back then, people would think you were a dumbie. Anywho, Submariner jumps, and he's like, I missed. This guy is like reading my mind. And, Roy Thomas, Stanley presents Roy Thomas, writer, Gene Coleman, artist. But he's like, yeah, that's it. I did. You floundering fool. You floundering fool. I like that. Like how and I guess that's Roy. Roy was I believe Roy was an English teacher from Jackson, Missouri. And I think he even taught college for a while. But before that, before he was in comics, he taught English. And so, like, when Roy is writing, he's using cool, bigger words, vocabulary words. Floundering fool. Like he just... But I don't know. It's kind of like Stan Lee would do that kind of stuff too, to teach you new words and stuff, which is pretty cool back then in the day. They still kind of use different words. Why they put in comics. Anyways, this guy, I don't really know who he is because I haven't really read a lot of the Submariners, but he looks like a good foe for Submariner. We're fighting, and everything Submariner does, he kind of dodges out of the way. He kind of knows because he can read his mind. So they're right then and there, he shoots these icicle things to him, and he's like, they didn't really hurt, but they didn't pierce. He didn't pierce his head. I mean, pierce his alien skin. He could sea harden, pierced my sea hardened skin as they slowed my attack for the moment. But and he's like, yeah, I can read your innermost thoughts. You can't really beat them, and soon you'll observe his power, and soon you'll see. Let me grab this thing here and flip it. He's kind of brushing away that icicles that he shot at him. He's having a mental attack or something. And this guy, he's frozen. He's frozen solid. Like he's stuck. And it kind of goes into this guy's origin story a little bit. He's telling Submariner, this isn't the first time we fought Submariner. It shows him at a carnival. He's kind of like the mentalist, Mentello is what they called him. I do like this panel here, because it's a simple panel, but you have this. The foreground is in shadow of these two women. Then you got the midground of these gentlemen here. You got it like a shadow of a lady here. But, you got these foreground. They're near ground, foreground, midground and background of Mentello and his guy. And they're just like, he's even saying, for a quarter, I got to do all this all the price for a mere quarter. The freak for a mere quarter he has to play. But then he discovers there's a bunch of books of ancient stuff at the library. So he goes and he reads up on this stuff. And he finds that there's a secret thing, and he books a icebreaker rig and the captain, and he just convinces them, because he's Mentello. He uses the mental powers. I guess he's kind of like a Professor X, but he's not as strong mentally. And he can read people's minds, but he's not. So he might be a mutant in a way. We don't get too big of a background of him. And I like these old ad pages, As a kid, you could get a rocket ship or, electric guitar or a little mini bike or something. It's pretty neat. These old ad pages. You need to play the guitar in 7 days. And then it comes back to him, and he's still telling them about... And this is a neat panel. I like how Gene Coleman does this. It's kind of, how Jack Kirby has his Jack Kirby crackle, but then Gene Coleman has this kind of sweeping path, and he's there, and they're in an ice cave or something. They're just, and the colorists did a good job. I like how the colors look, and even Submariner, Gene Coleman does good work. But he's telling about how him and the captain keep pushing on, and they found the thing, and Mentello actually kind of reads his mind, and the guy got his pistol out, and he was like, hey, we can't do this, we gotta go, this discovery is too important, we have to go back. And so he lets the captain go back to get the others, but Mentello keeps on going. And at that time, he busts through the cavern to get into it. But at that time, the ice falls through. And when the ice fell through, he was trapped. And he's thinking, I'm going to surely die of the cold and starvation. And then he finds this helmet. So he puts the helmet on, and then everything is clear to him. At this time, Namor discovers that it wasn't really icicles that really hit him. It was all mentally stuff. It was that guy's implants of his. He just thought it, and it really didn't happen. And he was like, he's strong. He's mentally stronger than Mentello, because it was just a farce. You know, he tricked him, mental trick. And so Namor's like, hey, I got you beat now. You can't trick me anymore. And so, you know, Mentello's just, he's still like, I can still read your mind, bud. I can still do it. But then Namor's like, hey, you're just a mere human. And Namor is far more, while Namor is far more than that. And these are some neat panels. Like Gene Coleman has the speed lines down, and even the kick right there. I like that. His hands, he's getting whacked back. He's like, I got this laser thing. He's gonna shoot him. And Namor's like, something. He has like a moment where he kind of he said, now I finally understand. Like I don't know if he's like understanding from another issue with this guy, but I don't know because I didn't read the comics. But Namor's like, he finally gets it. He finally gets something. The laser thing misses him. He dunks out of the way right in time. And then he grabs the laser and throws it. He's like, I'm going to destroy this laser, and you can't hurt me with that anymore. Throws it and hits like some ice cavern. I guess they're in an ice cavern or something, because then all these ice crystals fall onto Namor, and he kind of get buried. And this guy's he's kind of like a little gloomy. He's like, look, I defeated my foe, and I didn't even finish my plan. He didn't even utterly destroyed him. The second time he fight him, he's triumphed over him, and he didn't even finish telling his story of how the first time they met. And then it goes the next origin, Namor, in his own comic. That would be Namor 1. But it was an interesting comic. I enjoyed it. And it makes you... And the cover was pretty cool. Iron Man busting through and Namor. I was hoping that they would I was hoping when I was reading it, something in me was hoping that when Iron Man, this is how I would have done it. When Iron Man was in the boat and he was in the water, I would have had Namor came out and helped him. It's like, what are you doing here? And what are these people doing in my ocean? You know, that's what I would have had to do. You know, I like they could team up and fight the bad guys in that one, because it's kind of like a one-shot kind of thing. But you got two different stories. You got Iron Man and then Namor, and then continue on into the Iron Man 1 and Namor 1. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I love you, boy!